In the first proper TV debate between the SNP leadership candidates, Kate Forbes completely destroyed and exposed Humza Yousaf, which backfired a little bit on the whole of the SNP government. So something absolutely beautiful happened on TV this week, which was the SNP leadership candidates having the first proper debate on TV. And this kind of, firstly, showed one side of each candidate, especially when it comes to Humza Yousaf and his track record in the SNP government. Kate Forbes was pretty good. And in this section, which we're going to show you the clip of from the actual TV debate, she completely scrutinized and held him to account, Humza Yousaf, because he has not been the best minister in any government, in the history of all governments. We know that. But the issue is that Kate Forbes is still also linked to the SNP establishment. By bringing him down, she accidentally managed to bring down the whole of the SNP leadership and establishment's credibility. Because now nobody believes in the SNP as the saviour of Scotland. Not that they did recently.
Very much. Well, Humza, you've had a number of jobs in government. When you were Transport Minister, the trains were never on time. When you were Justice Minister, the police were strained to breaking point. And now, as Health Minister, we've got record high waiting times. What makes you think you can do a better job as First Minister?
It's just like poetry. Absolutely beautiful, Kate Forbes. The problem is, unfortunately, you're bringing down the whole Titanic with you by exposing the track record of Humza and your own government.
Well, first of all, in transport, I had not only built new roads and railways, of course, the Queensferry crossing came in under budget. When I was Justice Secretary, of course, I extended protections for domestic abuse victims. I pardoned the minors. I made sure I brought in the Turing Law. As Health Secretary, delivered the fastest ever COVID booster programme in the entire UK, the third fastest in the whole...
Hang on. Your own government also banned free speech. They destroyed the ferry fiasco issue and the whole industry. You guys completely destroyed schools, hospitals and the policing in Scotland. But Humza clearly has an okay team of advisors. So he was basically briefed enough to expect that question from Kate Forbes or someone. So he knew the answer, even though the answer was a bit of a mask in terms of veiling the true side of the SNP government and their so-called track record.
First Minister
entire world. Hold on, let me just finish up.
Ambitions and just being slightly better than the rest of the UK.
And of course, in Scotland, we are the only nation not to have had NHS strikes.
You know why? Because you guys are in the pocket of the trade unions. You've been negotiating. You've been saying yes to everything that's happened, and all the demands have been met. What happened? You threw money at the bottomless pit, and you had closures. You've literally had the waiting times going up. You've had cancer treatments being cancelled and delayed, but you kept your trade union bosses happy. I'm proud of you.
Have a single nurse or a single ambulance driver go on strike. That's not by accident. That's not by good fortune. That's because I've reached out across the divide.
The polls are all saying
got a fair
that
pay
people
deal
in Scotland want a bit of candour, a bit of honesty about the future of our public services. A few weeks ago, you said you were happy to be the continuity candidate. Does that not just mean the no change candidate?
Well, first of all, look, I know you haven't had a public service delivery job in government. I've had three. I've had transport, justice, and the health secretary. Probably the three toughest jobs in government. And what I would say to you about continuity is, look, I'm my own man. I'll bring my own leadership style when I'm the First Minister.
Did he just assume his own gender? Did he just say, I'm my own man? How do you know you're a man? It's fascinating because Kate Forbes, her attempt to scrutinise him a little bit, essentially is also undermining her own credibility as an SNP leadership candidate, because she's still part of this government. She's part of the SNP establishment, but she's still better than the others, which means I probably want Humza Yousaf to win. It's because he's going to be bringing down the whole of this sinking ship.
Scotland. But let me say this much. If continuity means continuing 15 years of winning elections, if it's 15 years of growing support for independence,
and you're not delivering independence yet,
15 years of being the national government of Scotland, then I think that continuity is no bad thing.
You guys brag about having your so-called national government. On the one hand, You go out there, you beg the Westminster establishment, the Westminster Parliament, to bail you out, to give you more money from the English taxpayers' purse and the Welsh taxpayers and all the others. At the same time, you say, well, we are as a very, very sovereign and independent government. We have our own government. Yeah, we have our own Scottish Parliament. So make up your mind. Even inside the kingdom, you can choose to either be standing up on your feet because of devolution, or you could be truthful to the public of how the system works. You take advantage of the English taxpayer when it suits you, but when you want to hate them, then you're going to brag and say everything that we are doing is our ideas and we are doing it for Scotland, even though the majority of Scots do not like the SNP establishment. Let me know what you think. I'm Mahyar, Tousi, and we are the media.